The arena of Dominion thundered with sound. 10,000 alien voices collided into a single storm of roars, hisses, screeches, and guttural chants that shook the obsidian walls. Glowing glyphs carved into the stone pulsed with eerie light, illuminating the battlefield in a blood-red glow. Nathan Vance walked through the massive gate, boots crunching on black sand that had been stained by centuries of slaughter. The air smelled of iron, ozone, and something reptilian. His armor was light, no more than a chest plate, arm guards, and a battered helmet strapped to his belt. Across the stadium, banners of alien houses hung, fluttering in an artificial wind pumped in by vents. He didn't roar. He didn't raise his fists. He just walked forward, calm, measuring the distance to the nearest pillars, noting the thickness of the walls, and the likely weak points in the arena's construction. His face betrayed nothing. Years of sealed discipline had drilled one principle into him: when the chaos screams, you go quiet inside. The crowd hated that silence. Hisses rose from insected clusters, clicking mandibles clattering against chitin. Feathered avians screeched insults from gilded boxes. Even the stoic reptilian nobles rumbled with contempt. Humanity, new to the galactic stage, was seen as fragile upstarts. To them, Nathan wasn't a warrior, he was prey walking into the slaughterhouse. A shadow fell over the sands as the central platform rose. Warlord Kthar, towering over 3 meters tall, scales gleaming green and gold beneath the arena lights, stepped into view. His horns curved back like blades, his fangs bared in something between a grin and a snarl. He lifted one clawed hand and the arena fell silent. Behold! Kthar's voice boomed, amplified by organic resonators grafted into his throat. The Terran champion. A soft-skinned creature who dares to invoke the law of Dominion. One fragile mammal to defend an entire species. It is arrogance beyond measure. Laughter rippled through the stands. Kthar's eyes locked onto Nathan. When I tear him apart, his kind will kneel to the Draken Dominion as slaves. Humanity will pay tribute for the rest of its pitiful existence. Nathan tilted his head, watching him without flinching. His voice, when it came, was quiet enough that the arena had to strain to hear. Funny, he said dryly. I was told dinosaurs went extinct because they couldn't adapt. Guess I'll have to finish the job. A roar of mixed outrage and laughter burst from the crowd. Some hissed, furious at his insolence, while others howled with unexpected amusement. Even among warriors of the galaxy, humor in the face of death was rare. Kthar snarled. Then let the trials begin. He gestured with his clawed hand. The gate across from Nathan groaned open. Metal shrieked, chains rattled, and a stench of venom and decay spilled out. The first beast emerged. It was spider-like, but its body was the size of a truck. 8 legs, each armored in jagged black chitin, stabbed into the sand. Green venom dripped from fangs longer than swords. Its multiple eyes glowed faintly, scanning the arena, locking onto Nathan with predatory hunger. The arena shook as the crowd screamed for blood. Nathan dropped into a low stance, muscles loose, breathing steady. He'd fought insurgents in desert caves, extremists in icy tundra, and mercenaries on orbital stations. This was new, but not unfamiliar. A target is a target. Weakness exists in everything. You just have to find it. The spider lunged. Sand exploded as legs hammered down. Nathan rolled sideways, narrowly avoiding a strike that cracked the stone beneath the sand. He came up fast, moving toward a broken spear embedded in the ground, likely left from some earlier bout. The beast reared back, fangs dripping. It struck again, jaws snapping with enough force to split bone like paper. Nathan dived under its body, grabbing the spear shaft as he slid through. He jabbed upward, aiming for the softer joints between its armored plates. The spear pierced shallowly, not deep enough. The beast shrieked, flailing, venom spraying across the sand where he'd been a moment before. Nathan kept moving, circling. He didn't waste energy. SEAL training hammered into him: conserve, strike with purpose. He scanned its movements, saw the rhythm in its attacks, the way its left hind leg lagged half a second. It lunged again. This time Nathan rolled forward, thrusting the spear deep into the joint of its foreleg. The beast screamed, collapsing partially to the side. He didn't hesitate. He yanked the spear free and sprinted up onto its back, driving the weapon again and again into softer patches where chitin met flesh. The spider convulsed, flinging him off, but he landed hard and rolled, coming up ready. The creature staggered, leaking ichor in thick green streams. Adapt, Nathan muttered under his breath. He picked up a jagged shard of obsidian from the arena floor. Improvise. The spider reared back one last time, shrieking in fury, then lunged. Nathan sprinted forward, sliding under its body again. This time he jammed the obsidian shard upward, deep into its underbelly where armor was weakest. He shoved with all his strength. The shard punched through. The beast screamed once, legs spasming, then collapsed, twitching. Silence fell. The crowd, thousands strong, sat stunned. This wasn't how the trial was supposed to begin. Humans were supposed to be torn apart quickly, their frailty displayed for all to see. Instead, a lone human had just butchered one of the arena's prized predators with nothing but a broken spear and a rock. Nathan stood slowly, breathing steady. His arm was scraped, his armor scorched with venom, but his eyes were calm, unshaken. He wiped ichor off his face with the back of his hand, then looked up at the stands. "Was that the warm-up?" he asked, voice carrying easily across the stunned arena. For a heartbeat, silence held. Then the arena erupted, half the crowd howling in rage, the other half roaring in unexpected admiration. High above, Kthar's eyes narrowed, his tail lashing. This wasn't going to be the easy victory he had promised his dominion. And Nathan Vance, standing alone on the blood-soaked sands, knew this was only the beginning. To be continued. The corpse of the spider beast still twitched as slaves dragged it off the field. The arena stank of venom and scorched ichor. Nathan stood in the center of the sand, shoulders squared, chest rising and falling in controlled rhythm. His body ached, but the calm mask never slipped. From the elevated platform, Warlord Kthar raised both clawed hands. His scales glinted like molten steel beneath the arena lights. "Impressive," he growled, the word heavy with disdain. "But vermin can sometimes kill vermin. Let us see how the ape fares against a true engine of war." The crowd bellowed approval. Metal gates rumbled, opening to reveal a shadow larger than any predator Nathan had ever faced. The juggernaut beast lumbered forward, each step shaking the arena floor. It resembled a gorilla but twice the size, armored in overlapping scales. Thick tusks curved upward from its lower jaw, and its fists were boulders tipped with claws. It pounded its chest, unleashing a roar that rattled the pillars. Nathan flexed his bleeding hand around the makeshift spear he'd salvaged. "Big muscles," he muttered under his breath. "Small brain." The juggernaut charged. Sand exploded beneath its pounding strides. Nathan didn't run, he sidestepped at the last second, sliding across the grit, letting the beast crash headlong into an obsidian pillar. The impact cracked stone, sending shards flying. The monster whirled, snarling, blood trickling from its split snout. It charged again, arms raised to smash him flat. Nathan darted in close, jabbing the spear into the seam of its underarm. The tip pierced flesh. The beast howled and backhanded him with a swipe that sent him rolling across the sand. His ribs screamed. He forced himself up before it closed in. "Stay moving," he hissed, steadying his stance. His vision blurred, but he locked onto its rhythm. It favored its right side now, limping slightly. He baited it toward another pillar, dodging at the last second. Again, stone shattered beneath its fists. Dust filled the air. Nathan used the moment to climb the rubble, launching himself off and plunging his spear into the back of its neck. The shaft snapped, but the beast reeled, bellowing in agony. Seizing opportunity, Nathan hooked his arm around its tusk, using leverage to twist its massive head. With a sickening crack, the tusk broke free. He jammed the jagged ivory straight into the creature's eye. It screamed, staggering before crashing to the sand in a convulsion of rage and death. The arena fell into stunned silence for a beat. Then came the roar of disbelief. Nathan pulled himself up, chest heaving. His hands shook from adrenaline, but his eyes stayed cold. He lifted the bloody tusk, letting the crowd see what a human could do with nothing but grit and precision. From above, Kthar's voice thundered. "Two beasts. Perhaps luck favors you. Let us see if you endure the swarm." The gates yawned again. This time, a pack poured forth, warhounds, a dozen at first, then 24. Each was the size of a wolf, skin armored in plated ridges, jaws packed with serrated teeth. They fanned out across the arena, snarling, yellow eyes glowing. Nathan gritted his teeth. He limped slightly from the juggernaut's blow, blood seeping down his thigh where claws had raked him. But his mind remained clear. Swarm tactics. Surround, isolate, overwhelm. He'd seen it in deserts, jungles, cities. The principle was always the same. Break the rhythm. Kill the leader. The pack charged. Sand sprayed as they closed in from all angles. Nathan snatched a broken length of chain from the rubble, swinging it like a flail. The first hound lunged. He lashed the chain across its snout, whipping hard enough to break bone. The creature collapsed mid-stride, jaws snapping uselessly. Another slammed into his side, teeth sinking into his arm. Pain tore through him, but he rammed the tusk into its skull, wrenching free with a spray of black blood. A third came from behind. He pivoted, using the dying hound's body as a shield. The attacker clamped down on its own packmate's throat. Sand turned slick with gore as the melee devolved into chaos. Nathan fought like a cornered animal, kicking, stabbing, twisting. He snapped one hound's neck with brute force, drove bone shards into another's throat. Claws tore his shoulder, teeth ripped his calf, but he refused to fall. One by one, the pack dwindled, until only the alpha remained, circling him with cautious growls. Nathan stood hunched, bloodied, leaning on the tusk like a crutch. His lips curled into a grim smile. "Just you and me now." The alpha lunged. Nathan sidestepped, twisting, and jammed the tusk deep into its ribs. The beast spasmed, choked on its own blood, and fell still. The arena shook with disbelief. Nathan stood drenched in alien ichor, clothes shredded, body a canvas of wounds, but alive. He dragged in air through clenched teeth. "Adapt," he whispered. "Improvise. Overcome." The crowd was divided now, half hissing in rage at the impossible defiance, the other half murmuring in awe. Even the insectoid hive kings leaned forward, antennae twitching in rare curiosity. Kthar slammed his claw against the railing. His roar silenced the stands. "Enough delays! Release the apex!" The final gate opened. A hush fell. From the darkness emerged a creature unlike the others, a hybrid predator engineered as the arena's masterpiece. 12 feet tall, plated in ridged bone, with a maw filled with serrated mandibles. Its eyes glowed molten red. Each step sank deep into the sand, its presence radiating raw, primal terror. The crowd leaned forward, anticipating Nathan's end. The beast charged. Nathan steadied himself, tusk raised, though his muscles screamed from exhaustion. He set his jaw, ready for one last fight. But then, the creature halted. It froze mid-stride, staring at him with burning eyes. The arena held its breath. The monster's chest heaved, growl rumbling low. And then, slowly, it lowered its head. Shock rippled through the stands. Whispers rose like a storm. One by one, the other surviving beasts in the pens and pits echoed the gesture, bowing their heads toward the lone human. Submission. Recognition. Instinct overriding centuries of conditioning. Nathan blinked, chest rising and falling, unsure if he was hallucinating. But the truth was undeniable. They saw him not as prey, not even as equal, but as alpha predator. Silence reigned in the arena. Even the warlords watched in disbelief. Kthar's bellow broke it. Rage shook his massive frame. "No beast bows to vermin! This ends now!" He vaulted over the railing, twin plasmaxes igniting in his claws as he landed with earth-shaking force. The final duel had begun. To be continued. The arena floor shook when Warlord Kthar landed. His taloned feet dug furrows into the sand, his tail lashing like a whip. In his hands, twin plasmaxes burned, humming with lethal energy. The light cast his scales in molten hues, turning him into a living furnace of rage. Nathan stood opposite, battered, bleeding, leaning slightly on the jagged tusk he had carried through the trials. His chest rose in shallow breaths, armor shredded, wounds burning. Yet his stance was steady. His eyes were clear. The crowd leaned forward as one, thousands of alien voices hushed to a tense silence. Kthar spread his arms wide. The farce ends here, human. Beasts bow to instinct, not respect. You are no predator. You are carrion waiting for the knife. Nathan wiped blood from his lip and straightened. Then why are you still talking? The words landed like a slap. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Kthar snarled, slamming both axes together in a burst of sparks. He charged. Nathan rolled aside, narrowly avoiding a downward strike that split the ground where he'd stood. Heat seared his skin. He sprinted, weaving between shattered pillars, forcing distance, buying seconds to think. The warlord stalked after him, swinging in wide arcs that carved glowing scars into stone. Run if you like, primate. It only prolongs your humiliation. Nathan ducked behind rubble, heart hammering. He needed leverage. Direct clash meant death. Those weapons would shear him in half. But brute force wasn't his domain. Adapt, improvise, overcome. Kthar's tail lashed, knocking the rubble aside. Nathan darted forward, feinting left, then cutting right. He thrust the tusk at the warlord's thigh, aiming for the joint between scales. The tip bit shallow before being deflected by armor. Kthar backhanded him. Nathan hit the sand hard, stars bursting in his vision. His ribs screamed, his mouth filled with copper. The warlord loomed above, axes crossed in an execution stance. Your kind will kneel. Kthar snarled, raising the blades high. Nathan forced himself to his knees, spitting blood. Funny! I was about to say the same to you. The warlord roared and swung. Nathan threw himself forward, inside the arc, the plasma grazing his back and filling the air with the stench of scorched armor. He drove his shoulder into Kthar's gut, forcing the massive reptilian off balance. The axes missed, burying themselves into the ground. Nathan seized the opening. He hammered his elbow into Kthar's throat, then rammed the tusk into the warlord's side. The strike pierced scale but shallow. Kthar howled, wrenching free and slamming Nathan across the arena with a sweep of his arm. Pain flared white-hot. Nathan rolled, coughing blood, struggling to rise. He felt bones grind in his chest. Every part of his body begged him to stay down. Above, Kthar raised his axes again. You fought well, ape. Die knowing you entertained me. Nathan staggered upright, swaying, eyes locked on the warlord. He forced a grin. You talk too damn much. The warlord roared and struck. Nathan sidestepped at the last instant, snatching up a broken length of chain buried in the sand. He whipped it around one plasmax as it swung down, wrapping tight. Sparks spat as the energy blade bit into the chain, but Nathan pulled with all his weight, twisting. The axe wrenched sideways. Using the momentum, Nathan dove in close, slamming his forehead into Kthar's snout. Bone cracked. The warlord reeled back with a roar of pain. Nathan tore the second axe from his grip. Both warriors stared at the weapon for a heartbeat, Kthar in shock, Nathan in grim determination. Strength without mind, Nathan rasped, hefting the plasmax, is just muscle waiting to die. With a roar, he swung. The weapon carved across Kthar's chest, burning through scales and flesh. The warlord staggered, clutching the wound, eyes blazing with disbelief. Nathan pressed the attack, striking again, driving him back step by step. Kthar bellowed, trying to reclaim momentum, but Nathan twisted low, hooked the chain around his leg, and yanked. The massive reptilian crashed to one knee. Breathing ragged, Nathan raised the axe high. Kthar looked up at him, blood steaming in the air. Impossible, he snarled. You are nothing. Nathan's voice was steady, quiet, cutting through the silence. I'm human. He drove the axe down. It pierced through Kthar's chest, molten energy searing deep. The warlord convulsed once, then collapsed, sand hissing beneath him. Silence swallowed the arena. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, the apex predator released earlier stepped forward. It lowered its head toward Nathan. The submission spread, beasts in the pens bowed. Warriors in the stands pressed fists to chests. Even alien emissaries, once jeering, now stared in reverent shock. The arena of Dominion had witnessed something it had never seen, a lone human, bloodied and battered, standing victorious over the galaxy's fiercest warlord. Nathan swayed, exhausted, but remained upright. He let the axe fall, its hum dying in the sand. He looked up at the stands, scanning the sea of alien eyes fixed on him. "Remember this day," he said, voice raw but carrying. "We don't kneel. Not to anyone." The declaration rippled through the arena like thunder. Humanity's delegation, watching from a distant balcony, stood stunned. Some wept openly. For the first time in galactic history, Earth had a voice spoken not in words, but in blood and triumph. Nathan turned, limping toward the exit gate. Each step left a trail of blood in the sand. His body screamed for rest, but he refused to stumble. He passed the kneeling apex beast, which watched him with glowing eyes. For a moment, man and monster regarded one another in silence, predator acknowledging predator. Behind him, the arena erupted. Some screamed in fury, others in awe. Warlords debated furiously, emissaries whispered new calculations, and the crowd's chaos became the birth cry of humanity's place in the stars. Nathan reached the shadowed tunnel, leaning against the wall, barely keeping himself upright. His throat ached, lungs burned, but a grin tugged at his lips. "One man," he muttered under his breath. "One mission. Never underestimate a human." And then the gates closed behind him, leaving the arena forever changed.